scheduled it for Hidden Cypress, 125 chairs in the room, and over 200 people showed up. We had no clue. So this year we decided we would go for the big banana and see if we could fill this. And thank you so much for coming. This particular picture was taken in mid-December, 4 or 5 years ago. My daughter and son-in-law were visiting, and we were out for doing what you do when guests come from Iowa to South Carolina. We went around and saw some sights, Beaufort and Bluffton. And when we hit Bluffton, just around sunset, and this is at the lawn of the Church of the Cross. And while my brother and our brother-in-law and sister and brother-in-law, my son-in-law and our daughter was looking at the river, I thought, I got to take this picture. And this boat came in at the same time. And, you know, it made a once-in-a-lifetime. I didn't plan to take the picture. The camera was in my pocket, and I didn't waste much time. And we're going to see a little bit more of that. Next slide, Ward. Going ahead just a little bit in time, in 2019, I was taking pictures for the community. A lot of us in the photography club were taking pictures of events and things in the community. And they said, we want to do an article on phone photography. It seems to be getting popular. And, you know, we want you to shoot some pictures to put in the article, and we want you to create a picture just for the front page of the of Sensation. So this was the first, as far as I know, this is the first front page cover for Sensation, the August edition, 2019, and you can see the reference down in the corner to the article that was in that Sensations. Next slide. This is a wild picture. The photography club, every year, at our meetings, we have competitions, themed competitions. And then at the end of the year, for our December meeting, we take all the blue ribbons from all the categories and put them together, and we vote for the picture of the year. And this is the winner. And it was some 6 months after that that I found out that Pete took this picture, Pete Lauer, one of our members, who's a great photographer of any kind of camera. He said, I took it with my iPhone. Like apologetically. And at that time we were hearing that sort of thing on a regular basis. And I have to tell you, it takes your breath away. One of the things I remember Pete also saying, he says, I couldn't have done this. He said, I could hike in there, you know, with a walking stick, and I could hike into this area, to this place where I found this picture. But he says, I couldn't have carried my camera and tripod and whatever else he had, but I had my phone in my pocket. So I took a few snapshots. And it was our photo of the year, 2016. Next slide. A week ago yesterday, I had a class in mat cutting. I was teaching a class in mat cutting, and one of the students in the class, Diane, are you here? There she is. And you know, the picture's laying on the table. I'm teaching her how to cut a mat for this picture. And then I happened to hear her say to one of the other people in the class, I took it with my phone. I thought, oh my gosh. To be there, the light was just right that day, and a wonderful picture. Thank you, Diane. Thanks for sharing it. Next. I often start a lot of my presentations with this slideshow. I'm big on composition for pictures to make it better. Photography is a communication between the photographer and the viewer. And it can be used for a lot of sources, or a lot of purposes. We have newspapers, we have magazines and things, and we take pictures that are specific for specific ideas and times. This picture I like to use as a start for the slides in my class because it has some things to it. You all, if you're in Sun City, you know this is the nature trail. And The picture shows where we are. I'm in the picture, and the viewer is in the picture. Even though they can't see us, because that boardwalk comes right up to our feet, and the arms of the thing welcomes us in. Our eyes are going to start to follow through this picture, up, round the bend a little bit, and if you can, it's harder to see on the big picture here than it is on the computer. But once it gets up there into the woods, we often tell people if you can have leading lines, but they should go to something that gives the viewer a reward. Well, in this case, my reward on this always is it goes up and it turns and it goes exactly 90 degrees, and the last end of this boardwalk is pointing in with the camera that's already in your pocket. It's trying to focus the students on what we're wanting to do. So let's go. Next slide. How about that? Where's that? That's on the trail as well. That was last Thursday. I go for a walk on a regular basis, about 3 times a week on the trail. I walk it from the trailhead down to Sun City Boulevard, turn around and go back. My friend and I had turned around and had just started back, and I had to stop my friend. He was looking away and put the hand on his shoulder. I said, there's a guy there waiting, posing for us. We didn't have our cameras. I had my phone. This is a red-tailed hawk, either a juvenile or a molding one, because when he flew away, I couldn't get a picture when he flew away, but I noticed his red tail feathers weren't as long as most red-tailed hawks. That was Thursday of last week, I believe 24th. Go ahead, Brett. And then there are more waiting. 2 days later, out for a walk on the same trail, and we got this little screech owl up in the tree in the little building that's number 4. I had my phone in my pocket, and it isn't a very pretty picture. It's the environment the screech owl is in, and it's peaceful, and it's good enough for him. The fact that we could get the picture and get a hold of him was a good thing. I took 7 or 8 pictures. We didn't seem to bother him. I could reach the camera up so I could fill it. This is screech owl, they're only about twice as big as your fist. Not a very big owl at all. All right, Ward? You should take your phone for a walk. Reserve some time. If I suggest to anybody who wants to learn more about photography and more about their phone, how to use it and things, is set aside an hour or two, make a walk, no predestination where you're going to go, no expectation of what you're going to see or do. And along the way, take pictures of things that grab your eye. The light is right, the lines are right, whatever's right, that makes you think this makes me feel good, this makes me feel bad, something. We're big on composition and frame awareness. All photographs live within the bounds of a frame. 4 sides. They're always rectangular, Film has always been rectangular, and most paintings and things are rectangular. Did you ever stop and think what would happen if somebody had decided early on that all paintings and photographs should be circular or something like that, that maybe today we would be doing that. But the frame is your limits to what you can show. You are the one who chooses what can go in or out of the frame. The picture on the left, if you are a golfer or go for a walk along Sun City Boulevard, there's a little tunnel right at the intersection of Sun City Lane and Sun City Boulevard where you duck down under. The golf carts go through there, going between the holes on there. But I had to stop right there, and because I like the presence, I like the feeling of the area. Now there's some things about composition that it brings to mind. The viewer's eye will tend to follow the line. Vertical lines are fairly static. You hit a vertical line and you go up, and it ends wherever the end of the line is, and you see the trees and that, but you also see the shadows of the trees, and they create lines that go at an angle, and then they hit another line that goes up, and you've seen a little bit more of the picture along the way. about the yellow brick road there, right at my feet? You know, it's always good if you can, for pictures like this, if you can put yourself in the viewer again in the picture by having something very close and very sharp. And we've got, they even painted this yellow, so it is right there. Horizontal lines stop you. Stops the line and says there's something here to look at. So that's a little bit about composition that I saw in this picture, and the reason I put this in here. The picture on the right, very similar. It has lines. It has a curved line. Curved lines have energy. They take your eye on a path that you don't know where you're going. And so we've got the edge of the lake there. Along the way, you can see the tennis courts. You also have that tree right in the foreground. It's holding me right there. I am right there at that site all the time. You have the shadows and the lines from the shadows. Again, frame awareness, what's at the edges of your frame, the corners of your frame, and what's in the lines and other parts of the composition. There could be other things in these. We have no people in these that we can see. You know, sometimes that makes a picture a lot better. That if there were somebody on a golf cart or a couple of golfers riding in a cart down the path, might have added something to that picture that same day. There was nobody there but me, though. Go ahead, Ford. Capture what you see. This is, I use this picture a lot. Again, thank you. I use this picture a lot. The picture on the left, my wife and I, by the way, my wife Eileen is right over here. She's here to watch this tonight, and I tell this story every time I want to put these pictures up. We walked into the butterfly garden, walked through the gate, and she turns and she says, "Oh, look, we got to get a picture of that." So I pulled my phone out and I took a picture. I didn't have the big camera. I just took the picture. And then I thought, did she really want that? Get closer. Get closer. So I walked right up, didn't bother the spider, held my phone right up there, and got the spider. Totally different. You get a whole different feeling for that subject when you're right there close to them. Some things you don't want to get that close to. You know, alligators come to mind. Another thing, when you get closer, with any camera, when you get closer and you have something that's close to you in focus, the stuff that's beyond that tends to milk right out into the background. It gets real faint. And that makes the picture. You notice the other picture, the sidewalk in the background is much sharper. Just about everything's in focus. It looks, you talk about lines and curves and things in a picture for composition, it's kind of like hash. But on the other one, we even see things I didn't see until I did the close-up, where the web had been repaired. That spider had probably caught something else there at some time. He took care of it, did whatever spiders do to things that get caught in the web, and then he sewed the web back up. So I got to see that after I looked. Yeah, it was in the picture the first time, but I never would have seen it without getting up close. So get the subject by getting close. Okay, Ward? We want to fill the frame. You know, they did a lot. I see a lot of people with phone cameras especially, because we don't have zooming on it. We don't have lenses that zoom like we have on our big cameras. They will pinch or outer pinch 2 fingers on the screen instead of getting closer. You know, that doesn't really ever help a picture. It doesn't get you any closer. All it does is cut off area around the outside of the picture and then swells the colored dots, what we call pixels, up and make them a little bigger and a little further apart so they get so we want to talk about filling the frame with what we want and not depending on cropping the picture down later on down the line. What do you fill it with? Well, it's what you see. Things that viewers like. They like texture, colors. The color red. Your eye goes to something red all the time. Very quickly. We've already talked about lines, but there's texture in the bark on the tree. There's texture in that leaf on that. And in the other picture, there's a texture and there's bright color. That green color really grabs you. And there's a lot of leading lines. They go from all sides, no matter what corner of the picture you go in on, you're going to follow that line to the center of that thing and then back out again. Really would have been nice that day if there'd been a butterfly or something sitting on there, but it wasn't there. Use colors, textures, leading lines to make your, put some wow into your pictures. Okay, Ward. Breathtaking views. This is a view from Ireland. My daughter, I don't remember the year we took this. My daughter went there. Her son, my grandson, one of our grandsons, was thinking about getting married, and he was in Ireland and going to live there, and she hopped on a plane and went over to visit him and his family as mothers of guys starting to get married. They went out for a walk, and this is one of the heather-covered fields at the time she was there. She had a brand new iPhone 6S. It was the first of the really good camera phones. It was the newest of the camera phones that had come out. There's a lot of detail in this all the way through. It just is a nice, breathtaking view. When she came home, she said, I want to do something with this. We decided we printed it on canvas, actually 3 pieces of canvas, created a triptych, and she put it in one of the bedrooms in their home. I thought she should put it out in the living room, but there was no wall space out there. So again, just a good picture, lasts a long time. Look for breathtaking views. They are not common, you know. If you keep taking pictures, all of a sudden you will develop your own idea of what is a common picture and what is a wow picture. I can tell wow pictures usually when people are in my class and we show them and we bring them up. We have a class of 10 people, and the minute the picture comes up on the screen, somebody says, oh, just like it hits them. There is a wow to the picture. There's details in this that taken with a phone. I'm not sure you can see it. There is a person standing over here just before that green triangle on the side of the I'm going to see if I can get is that working? No, it's over here. I know where it is. We talk about stretching pixels, but there's a lady standing there. I haven't found anything else. There's actually, clear over here on the right side, this doesn't go that far. Over here is actually like a village. There's a whole lot of buildings there when you blow this up. A lot of detail in this little picture, just taken with a phone, just because she had the phone in. Thank you. You can go on to the next one. So, those are just some ideas to keep in mind when you're out taking pictures. Look for things that you think your viewer likes. Look first for things that you know you like. You'll find you develop things that you like to shoot and that are fun to shoot. Before you go out, you got to know your phone. You got to know your camera, whether it's a phone or a non-phone camera. You really got to learn some things about it. One of the things you have to do, you have to keep your lens clean. Think about a phone. That lens is on the back side of it. The 2 or 3 little circles. By the way, those are not those are lenses, but our phones, if they have 3 lenses like that on them, that means they have 3 whole cameras built in here. Each one has its own sensor or film. Each one has its own size, because there's no zooming lens on this at all. Yet I have 3 distances that I can do. But you lay this down on a table, right on top of a piece of spaghetti or rice. Or think about that, and then you put it in your pocket. It's been in your pocket all day. Clean the lens regularly. Wipe them off. They're pretty tough. You don't want to use sandpaper on them, but they're really quite tough. And your battery. That's your lifeline to taking pictures. Phones are not very big, and the batteries are not very big. And you soon learn, especially when you're taking pictures, that you're using a lot of juice every time you do that. So, develop a plan. Get to know how long it's going to take you to do the pictures you want. And, because you still might want to use the phone, to call 911 or something. You don't want to run the battery clear down. Make sure it's charged before you go out. I found early on that little red box that's tied to the phone there, we called them juice boxes in the early days because that's what they look like. But you can pre-charge these and then you can hook them into your phone, and in about 20 minutes you can get about 50% of your charge back and continue shooting pictures. You can get bigger and faster ones these days. I have one now that will charge the phone about 7 times. And they work pretty fast. Storage. Storage is that area where your phone puts the pictures. Phones typically don't have a very big piece of storage. Clean it out before you go. Once it's full, you're done taking pictures for the day, or you sit down and you delete some. You usually don't want to delete the pictures that are good on your phone, so develop some way, either with a cloud service or something, to get your pictures off of your phone so that the only copy of them isn't on their phone. Believe me, we see this all the time in the Photo Club studio. People bring in their phone and they want us to make some prints out of them, and they plug the cable into the computer, and we go to phone. They said, well, it's right here. Well, it turns out when you plug it into a computer to pull the picture out to print, they aren't in any order. There's no albums and there's not anything like that. You get 7,000 pictures, and you have to go through and you have to pick them out. Find a storage, a way to handle your storage and the pictures that you want to save. There's internet and cloud storage, and a lot of it is cheap. You can buy boxes like the juice boxes, but you can buy storage boxes that plug into the phone and can dump your pictures. If you have a non-Apple phone, a lot of them have an extra chip in them that the pictures could go on. So you can take the chip out like you can with a regular camera. Apple never got around to that just yet. I don't know. And like I said before, learn your phone's camera controls. There are a few on there. Some important ones are like, what do you do to snap the shutter? That's one of the most important ones. There are some others, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. Learn those. Okay, Ward, let's go on to the shooting tips. Stand firm. The phone is pretty good at taking pictures, even though at our age we're a little shaky or something. But you can improve the chance of getting, if your hand moves when you take the picture, or your body or anything moves, you're changing the distance, and items in the picture are starting to get blurry. I say, make yourself a tripod. One leg about 18 inches in front of the other, stand like this, elbows at your side. You're making yourself really strong. Camera in 2 hands. Support it by 2 hands. So that you got it just as movement free as possible. Identify your subject, not looking over the top of the camera. On the screen on the camera, look for your subject. Now the camera, in most cases, will put some kind of an indication on what it thinks your subject should be. It's wrong sometimes. It's wrong a lot of times. You're the one who's creating the photo. You can create the subject or the item that you want to be most in focus by tapping the screen, by tapping that object. All the phones do this. You just have to tap the screen. On the Apple phones, it puts a little box around, a little yellow box around them. And that will hold, it'll keep its eye on that and take that as the subject until you snap the shutter speed. But you should always do that. Even if you're taking selfies or junk photos. Every photo, if you want to make sure that, you know, like the owl and the hawk picture I had, I touched them right on the eye. I wanted to see the eye of that hawk. You know, it's the sharpest thing in the picture. Always tap what you want. Press or lightly tap the shutter button. Many of the phones these days have a button identified on the screen, and when you push it, you have to take one hand off, and then when you hit this button, guess what? It moves your phone back and forth a little bit. It jiggles it. Not many people are aware that the volume control on most phones will also allow you to, will act as a shutter release. They're on the side of the camera. You know, there you have two of them. You have an upward and a downward switch on the side, and you can use those just to push in. It's a lot safer to not jiggle your camera by having one of your fingers on one of your hands on one of those buttons. On later models now, they also allow you to do burst shots and hold it in and take 7 or 8 pictures in a row by hitting that button. So those are some of the things that you need to remember. Oh, the last thing, in yellow, review your image. The minute you take it, you have a chance to look at it. Now, if you're taking a lot of them at one time, then just check one out. You really want to make sure, did I jiggle it, did I not? You may not be able to come back to this place for a year or two, you know. Take a look at your picture after you've taken, if it's one that you know you want. And I might add one more that is a very simple thing, but it would be a boring world if you took all your pictures with your camera straight up and down. You can turn your camera sideways and take pictures. You might have seen me taking pictures while we were doing the picture show out here, this slideshow. I did it this way so I could get a broad, you know, I could get nearly all of you into the picture. But sometimes you'll shoot this way, sometimes, many times, take one each way. Decide when you get home which one's a better picture. You might like it more. Done with that one, thank you. Go ahead. So that's the end. Now it's the beginning. It's the beginning. If you can do just that much, that's all you have to do. This isn't, you do have to learn what your camera does, how to get pictures in and out, and a bunch of things. You got to know your camera and know the things. And those things are the beginning. A couple of years ago, what's the date on this? Yeah, 22. There was an air show in Charleston that I went to. I took my big camera, and I took 5,000 pictures of the air show things. When it came time for the beginning of the Blue Angels show, those planes sat out there all day long until 4 o'clock when they started their show. They started their the things up. I could not get the things in focus that I thought made a good picture. Once they started those up, I really wanted something in the foreground. Why? To put them, you know, I'm in a crowd. There's a lot of people there. I'm a part of the crowd, and at least some of these people should be sharp. I have texture. I have the action in the center where the planes are. I have some background, discernible background, all the way thousands of miles to the clouds. It's a full frame. I couldn't take it. I couldn't figure out how to take it with my other camera. With my phone, I took about 20 pictures. When they started up, it was really neat. The first ones, they didn't have all that smoke in the background. But when they turned on those things that make the smoke, it really made the picture that I wanted. I did that with my iPhone 13 camera that I still have. And that's it for my part of the show. I hope you can... Now, that doesn't mean we're over, because... Next slide. There are better photos yet ahead. The prospect of better photos, and this is where we're helped. Sue Flynn, one of our teachers of phone classes, provided that picture, and she's going to have some. I think, Sue, are you ready? Your slide is the next one.
Yelling, how do I do? I'm going to show some basic editing steps. And what I'm going to do now is actually share my screen so that I can edit for you. So this is the end of this. Yes, okay, sure. So I'm going to show the simple steps that we always teach in the classes, things you need to do. Put it on my chin? Okay, I'll put it on my chin. So one of them is usually, as John talked about, to crop your image. So you're going to crop out things that are maybe distractions, but also help the viewer to see what you want them to see in the image by cropping out things. And I'm going to demonstrate that on some photos tonight. Then I always do something called, if you have an iPhone, it's tap the magic wand and you get a set of automatic adjustments. And if you have a Samsung, I'm pretty sure there's ways to do that also, some kind of an auto button. Then I'm going to show you some of the different individual tools that you can do to maybe make something brighter or less bright, add a little bit of color to your photo. Increase or decrease the shadows. There's a lot of different features that you can do. And you can do all of this in like less than 10 minutes, probably more like 5 minutes. And then last, I'm going to show you some of the fun of editing portraits on the iPhone, because you can take a portrait in one particular mode, and then you can, post-processing, edit that photo and change the mode completely to make the portrait perhaps a black and white. So now I need to share my screen before I can go on. So, that's good. Okay, so here's a picture that I took off of a cruise ship a few weeks ago. And what I want to do is show you how easy it is to go ahead and crop that. So if I hit the edit button right here, one of the first choices I get is cropping. Let me see, on the right-hand side down the bottom. And I'm going to hit that crop button, and now what I want to do in any of these pictures where I kind of have the sky and I have the ocean, but what do I really want you to look at, and what would you want your viewer to look at? And I'm just going to slide this up so that we're not seeing as much of the ocean and we're seeing a little more of the sky. I have a little roof on the cruise ship there I'm going to get rid of, and I'm going to slide it up some more because my story that I think I want to tell is actually all about the sunset. So if I do that and I hit done, what do you think? Better picture? Because I don't really care about just the ocean is repeating itself. There's not anything really different about it. I want to show you the sun. I think this was actually sunrise because it says it was taken at 7:17 a.m. So then the next thing I can do, if I hit edit again, right here down the bottom on the left-hand side is auto. So that's the magic wand that I just tapped on the iPhone. It adjusts all kinds of things for me. I could then decide that I want to change them a little bit, but initially, yep.
Where is the edit?
You want to see the edit button? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, let me hit done again. Up the top on the right. You can't see it, I'm sorry. Sometimes when you screen share, you can't see all the functions, but it's up the top on the right if you were in a picture. So if I hit edit, then the magic wand is down the bottom on the left, and I hit that and it automatically is adjusting a lot of different features in this photo. I'm not going to go through all of those, but that is how you can adjust different things like light, shadows, color. Actually, even things like definition, sharpness, and I'll show you that in a couple other photos. So I'm going to go on to another one. Here's another one where here I have something, I'm always going to do crop first. So when I look at this, I think the lighthouse looks a little bit crooked. It's askew. It's not quite straight. So I'm going to go into edit here. First thing I'm going to pick, again, is crop right here on the right. Now, on the iPhone, there's 3 different ways you can crop something. You can crop kind of to level the horizon. You can also crop vertically. So I think I might want to bring this lighthouse so it seems more straight to me if I do the vertical crop first. Now I'm paying a little bit of attention to the flagpole too, right? But what's my main story? I believe it's the lighthouse. So I'm going to work now on straightening that lighthouse a little bit. See, I can go all crazy and go the wrong way. And I have this grid on my phone that helps me to see the line. Now that I did that, I'm going to move this in to the side because I don't want that building over there on the side. And I also think, what's my story? It's the lighthouse, so I'm going to go up here like this. I'm going to move over a little bit more. There's another little tiny thing on the side there that we would call an eye snag. And now there I have a photo that I like a lot better. And I think the lighthouse looks pretty straight. Now I'm going to hit adjust. I'm going to hit the magic wand, and you can see I got some additional color into this photo, okay? So I can go along here, and I can choose a few things to make it even more bright in color. These are shadows, highlights, things like that. But I'm going to go on here to saturation, and I might just up it a tiny bit. You always want to be gentle. If I go all the way over here, that looks very artificial, right? So I want to go just a slight amount of increase in the saturation, maybe also the vibrance. I might want to touch the detail, a definition here, because maybe I could see a little more definition in the clouds if I just move definition a little. So I like that the way it is, so I would go ahead and hit done, and I've done my lighthouse. Now I'm going to go, this is a flower. This looks to me like it should be a portrait, but I did not take this in portrait mode. But I want to really highlight the flower just like John wanted to highlight the spider in his picture. So I'm going to crop this, and a lot of times I don't crop too often in square mode, but occasionally I will decide maybe I would like to make this picture a square. Maybe I'm going to frame it, and I'm going to put it into a square frame. So I'm going to choose that as my first choice. I don't really need to do any straightening. Now I'm going to go ahead and go to the magic wand again. And you can see how dramatic that flower really pops, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little contrast to that flower also. Maybe a little bit of color. I might really want to up the vibrance a lot. And see the difference in that picture? Another choice you have here is you can make everything a little warmer. So if I think I want it to look a little warmer, it's a flower, it's a sunny day, I can increase the warmth a little bit too. That adds a lot of yellow to your picture, so you may not always want to do it. And that is a feature I don't use much when I have a picture of my husband and I, because he's got a very red face and I do not. And if I up the warmth, he looks like he's on fire for sure, and I look just a little bit yellow is what happens to me, so. Okay. I have another lighthouse here. I don't know why I put that in, but I'll see how crooked that looks to me. So I can choose crop here. I'm going to do the vertical again and try to bring the lighthouse so it looks more straight. And I don't want as much of the sidewalk to show. Then I would just go ahead and hit the magic wand, and I would probably be happy with that picture. That's all I had to do, is like 3 steps. Okay, now I have one. This was at the Westin. We were on a club field trip, and I really liked this Christmas tree, but obviously the window behind was very bright. There were things going on in the lobby. So first thing I'm going to do is crop and get rid of some of my distractions. Now notice the window. I might want things to be a little bit straight here with the window frame. Buildings aren't always straight though, so sometimes that doesn't work very well. Do the best I can. I'm going to come into the side here so I'm not showing the side of the room. I'm going to come down here from the window frame that I don't really need. And I'm gonna get rid of a little bit of the rug. Now you can kind of see there's people outside, they're waiting for the ferry, the pretty trees are there. I think I brought it more to the attention of the tree to catch people's attention. And then I'm gonna hit that magic wand, but I'm gonna cut down the brilliance, and I'm gonna definitely up the contrast a little, and I'm gonna end up adding a little bit of color, a little bit of warmth. Makes it look like the sun is almost shining on the tree and the sun's coming in the window. So that's what I would do to that picture. I got rid of a lot of the distractions. Okay, the next one. So for people that have an iPhone, you have the option of taking portraits, and you'll see, I hope it shows, it doesn't show. Up in the left-hand corner here, it tells me this is taken in portrait mode. Now, what I did with this picture, and I reverted it to the original, but if I hit edit, I have all these choices of what I can do with a portrait image. And they're not showing up right now. This might be too old of a portrait. Interesting. Let me try one more thing. I took this with my phone when it was older, but I should be able to adjust to different portrait mode. It's not working. Let me go to another portrait. I'll just skip over to this one. Here's a portrait mode that I took recently. Okay, Cindy, I'm having the same problem you had. I'm not getting the feature. There is a way, there's like 5 or 6 or 7 actually different filters on portraits where I could turn this image to black and white. And you do it by sliding across. For some reason, we're doing the screen sharing tonight, we're not getting those options. Another way I could fix this picture though is I could go to filters, which is down the bottom here. And here's another way that I could actually change this picture and go through all these different filters. This is on your iPhone. And I can go to mono or black and white. And you have a lot of different choices in the filters. Let me go back to that other one because I wanted to show you this portrait in black and white was beautiful. So I'll use the filter to do it. There's a good friend of mine and he just loved when I did this. I don't know which one I like better. Then I can still use the magic wand if I wanted to cut the light down a little, make it a little darker, cut the brilliance, maybe add a little contrast. And now I have a black and white image of him that he really likes. So there's a lot of different options that you can do. I'll show you one more here. This is another portrait mode. We'll see if I can play with this. I don't think it's going to let me. It's not going to let me apply the portrait mode. Sorry about that. We had a problem this afternoon when we were trying to do some of these functionalities that for some reason with this hookup, we're not able to do it. And that's it. So some simple steps for editing. And now Cindy's going to come up and show you taking a few photos and editing them quickly in Snapseed, and then cropping them and posting them on Instagram, and all to be done in really quick, easy steps.
Glad that so many people came. My husband says I am not known for not being heard, so you should probably all hear me very well. Sue showed you a lot of stuff that we can go ahead and we can edit in many different areas. But for me, I like fast and easy. I'm not a very patient person, and I like to just have things done really quickly. And when I travel, I like to do pictures in just a few edits and post them on my Instagram. So I don't know if any of you are using any social media, but I'm going to show you how I edit photos and then put them on my Instagram account and then over to my Facebook. The first thing we have, if you look in all the way to your right, one down, I'm using what's called Snapseed. Snapseed is an app, a free app that you can get going through the App Store. And it's very easy to use, but it also has a lot of technical areas, and I'm slowly learning through our classes on how to use Snapseed in more detail. But all I do is I come home, I have a whole lot of pictures that I took for the day, and I want to post something on my Instagram account. So I just go to open from my device, and then I loaded an album with some photos that I can show you what I do. Here's a photo that I took when we were in the Blue Ridge Mountains. I'm going to use this photo, and the first thing that I do, if you can look right along on the right-hand side, are filters. So instead of me going in and doing individual edits, I really like one or two edits. I'll do for this one, the pop, or I'll do the accentuate. So I'm going to go to the pop, and I like that one. I'm going to save that one. The next thing that I do is I'll go to my crop, and using any kind of social media, you always want to crop square. If you don't crop square, you're going to lose some of your photo. So the square has come up, and I'll go ahead and I'll see, I want to get this part. I'll see the part that I want to get, and that's what I'm going to save. Then the next step that I do is I'll do the vignette. I always do a vignette around the picture. You can see, we'll have if you look up at the top, it shows you the outer brightness and at what number I'm going to be at. So going this way, it's going to get darker. Going this way, it's going to get lighter. I don't usually use the white vignette. I think usually just with, if you do younger children or some floral, the white vignette looks better, but I'll do a darker vignette. Save that. And then the next thing, which I'm not going to do because as we were saying, we were having technical issues. There is a part here that is text. If you look at the bottom in the center, it says text. I can put my name on there so that I'm not just adding a photo without any name on it. But I'm not going to do that tonight. So now, what I want to do, the photo is ready. I'm going to export it. I'm going to do share. I'm going to go right to my Instagram account. I'm going to do it as a post. I'm going to write a caption. Did I spell it wrong? And then I am going to go and hit OK, share. And then shortly you'll see it come the next photo in. But all the pictures that you're looking at in here have all been done with using Snapseed in those 4 steps. So it's something very easy to use, and it is a free app for you. There we go. So there it is now. Yep, you can use it on iPhones and Androids. And that's it. I had more pictures, but we really are running late, so I'm going to stop right here. Thank you.
Tonight's presentation, called The Camera in Your Pocket, was amazingly informative and interesting. We're going to ask some of the attendees, what's one important tip that you heard this evening?
Hi. What's the most important tip that I heard tonight was probably cropping from your iPhone and the adjustment where you can make adjustments on your phone of contrasting and the lighting. So those are important tips for me.
So one important tip that I heard this evening was to make sure you're focusing on the subject. So if you just zoom in on what you want the person who's going to view your picture to see and snap the picture and then edit it, you will be in good shape.
Well, that even if my picture isn't perfect, I can audit it using these wonderful apps to make it darker, brighter, turn it into black and white, make it perfect.
All right, again, I didn't realize there were as many controls on my phone as there. I just did snapshots, basically. Now I realize what I can do. I do have a little photography background, and I guess I would call real cameras. And I understand what I can do there as far as aperture and shutter speeds and stuff. And I didn't realize I had as much control on this as I did. So I'll be taking a lot more pictures with this than I have in the past. And I can edit it through here, and I also have Photoshop, which I can edit it through also.
Okay, so I learned tonight about a new app called Snapseed, and it will help me edit my photographs and make them look much better than they do.
Hello, it's a very interesting presentation. They covered a lot of basic information about the iPhone to make people more comfortable with using the phone. The thing that I learned tonight was about live mode that gives you different editing features to like blur the water in a photo. That's what I found was quite interesting.
One of the most important tips I learned this evening was to take a stance and act as a tripod rather than waving my phone around and clicking. So that was a wonderful part of the presentation. There were many others that I learned, which I'm extremely pleased to have attended this event.
My biggest takeaway tonight was that I needed to touch the screen, the subject on the screen, so I could get the best clarity on it.
So one of the great tips that I picked up from this wonderful class is that you can use the volume button to snap the photo. And that's really good when you're holding the phone at landscape and you don't want to have to move your hand to press the button. So it's a very, very good tip.